little bit of a bonus live today. Just happened to be home and made a bunch of content today and had kind of a busy day. And figured I'd just take a few minutes, grab a cup of coffee, and just go live and see who's around on a Friday night. Maybe get a few, maybe get nobody. There's one. Happy Friday the 13th, everybody. I didn't even realize it was Friday the 13th until about an hour ago. Hopefully, everybody's surviving the unlucky day. Come on in, say hi. Let me know where y'all are from. If it's your first time live, say hi. If you're one of the regulars, I'll know. Make sure chat's turned on. Oh, I appreciate that, Hudat. It does the same thing for me. Every vertical I have, regardless of which one it is. And by verticals, I mean I do a bunch of different types of videos. Some I won't even be in. But some of it will be me talking. Some of it'll be footage that I found. What's going on? Welcome. Good to see you coming in from Phoenix. But all of it serves the same purpose, either to give my point of view, our point of view on things today, or to just bring back the memories from the other day, from the other years, from the other time. Idaho, Phoenix. I'm originally from Western New York, Rochester and Buffalo. I now live in the Charlotte area, South Carolina. Had to get away from the snow and the taxes. But I'm glad you guys are enjoying the content. I'm having a blast making it. It has become like a full-time thing for me, and I don't think I've ever been happier. Chat, what is the best pizza topping? Mine is hot tuna from the oven. Gotta say, Matt, I've never done that. I'm pretty basic. Although I will take the controversial statement that I'm okay with pineapple on pizza. I think I'm just I like pepperoni. I love, like, Buffalo is famous for having like little margarita pepperonis, little pepperonis that will curl up and hold the grease in it. That's my favorite. Kids are missing out on a lot of the best times. That's the coolest part of all of it. I was thinking today, I was watching, of all things, The Waltons, because it was something I used to hate as a kid. But it came on, and my mom used to love it. So I was just watching for a moment. What's going on? Jamaica's in the house. And it occurred to me that The Waltons was a show that took place in the 30s, right? The Great Depression. But we watched it in the 70s. So that's a 40-year time span. And I just remember as a kid in the 70s looking back and being like, wow, look how backwards, look how simple, look how different things were 40 years ago in the 30s. Look at the cars. Look at the lack of any kind of any technology. And then I realized that today, sitting in 1985, today sitting in 2025, that same 40-year gap brings kids back to 1985. Our 80s, the days a lot of us spent our teens in, were like a Waltons era to these kids today. I appreciate that. Thank you. I never really watched it a lot. Hey, Wirehead, what's going on, brother? I hated it. I hated it with a visceral, venomous hatred when I was a kid. And now, as my mom's older and I'm older and I'm reliving memories of my youth, I've got an affection for it. I started watching it a little bit, and now I'm streaming it. It's weird, but it still kills me that 1930s to 1970s are 1985 to today. I talk about it a lot because I find it really hard to wrap my brain around it. New coffee mug. I was homeschooled as a kid. Not really, but I was homeschooled by these guys. My new favorite mug. New shirt, too. If you guys ever check out genxjono.dashery.com and you want to get some merch, you don't have to, but it's there. So what's going on, Wirehead? Happy Friday the 13th. Hopefully everybody navigated the day safely. You guys all watch Friday the 13th? I was doing trivia the other day, and I messed people up because I asked Yeah, it's the numbers just don't make sense. Time has become compressed. But when I think about like Friday the 13th, I always think that um let's say goodbye. Um, does anybody remember the killer in the first Friday the 13th movie? We'll start with that question. Who is the killer in the Friday the 13th movie? And this would be original. Exactly. Mrs. Voorhees. It was the mom. A lot of people got that wrong. Jason didn't even show up in the first movie except in some sort of dream sequence in the water coming up at the end. What was the mask that Jason wore when he finally did appear? Does anybody know this? Friday the 13th, part two, when he shows up for the first time in a full movie. What does Jason wear to conceal his grotesque face? Exactly. Wirehead nails. No, no. See, that's the one I was waiting for, Bonita. It was a sack. He had a burlap sack on his face in the second Friday the 13th. So he's not in the first one really at all. He wears a burlap sack in the second one. He doesn't wear the iconic hockey mask that we all associate him with until the third movie. Hey, if you got younger people in the house, that's just a fun piece of trivia because everybody associates Jason with a hockey mask immediately. And it's crazy to realize that he wasn't really in the first movie. He didn't wear it in the second. He didn't even get it until the third. Does anybody, good evening, what's going on, Johnny? Good to see you, brother. Does anybody remember what famous movie star that we all associate with a ton of different movies actually made his cinematic debut on the first Friday the 13th movie? Let's go with that one. I'm going to run out of trivia real quick. Nope, not Johnny Depp, but I know where you got that because Johnny Depp premiered in the Nightmare on Elm Street series. There you go. Salty got it. Yeah, Johnny Depp is one I get a lot to that, but no, that would be Nightmare on Elm Street, where Johnny Depp met his grisly end laying in bed, watching his television set. But no, it was Kevin Bacon. Kevin Bacon dies with a spike through the throat, I think, in the first Friday the 13th movie. All right. Does anybody know what year the first Friday the 13th movie actually came out? This one kind of blew my mind a little bit because I actually saw it in the theaters and I was surprised. I don't know why. If you were born in 1981, William, a couple different answers. You could be a Zennial, which is a mix of Gen X and a millennial, or you could be a millennial. It used to be that 1981 was a Gen Xer, but they changed the cutoff to 1980, which is actually the year that Friday the 13th came out. So Angela, Salty Army, you guys got it. 1980. So yeah, Friday the 13th, although to me it feels like a 70s movie, it came out in 1980. Now I always have this theory that the decades change on the fives, not on the zeros. So the 70s are really 1975 to like 1985. We don't really start feeling 80-ish till 85. We don't really start getting into the 70s away from the 60s until halfway through. Yep, but 1980. What is the fictional camp that is the setting of many of the Friday the 13th movies? Everybody should be able to get this. What was the name of the camp? Camp Crystal Lake. Yep, Crystal's there, Crystal Lake. I always thought that sounded so real that I was convinced as a 10-year-old watching this movie that it was a real place. So what's amazing about the era that we grew up in, when we got something wrong, when we believed in a ghost story, when we believed in an urban legend, there was really no way for us to qualify it. There was no Google to check. There was no Siri to ask. There was no Alexa to check in with. There was no Chat GPT. We just had to talk to our friends and see if they corroborated it or if they didn't. That's one of the reasons a lot of us thought that Paul from the Wonder Years grew up to be Marilyn Manson. They kind of looked alike, and we had nothing really to point to tell us differently. There was no, nothing put into an Encyclopedia Britannica that would have told me differently. So we really did believe a lot more in urban legends and myths and spread them from one town to another. When you had a cousin visiting from another town and he joined in with your buddies and you guys were playing hot box or baseball or girls hopscotch or jumper, whatever it was, they brought with them those stories. Pop Rocks and Coke was the way that Mikey met his end. There were so many of those rumors. There was the Rod Stewart rumor with pumping his stomach at the concert. There was the urban legend with, what was other ones? Richard Gere and a gerbil. There's Bloody Mary. But so many of these things we just repeated. No internet to repeat it. We were the conduit. Not anymore, Elliot. I gave it up when your mom decided she wanted more of it than I could give her. Another actor that kind of made a cinematic debut in Friday the 13th movies. Hey, Dixie, good to see you, honey. Which actor played young Tommy Jarvis in Friday the 13th, the final chapter? So Friday the 13th, the final chapter was supposed to end, was supposed to be the end of Jason. They were finally going to kill him and kill him good, shoot him enough that he was done. But he didn't stay dead. But their plan was to have a young person be so traumatized that he takes over the franchise, and there it is. I see Wirehead put it down his mouth. That works. And Don came right out with Corey Feldman. Yeah, Corey Feldman played young Tommy in Friday the 13th. Not much happening, just doing an extra Friday night live just because we can. Did Ozzy really bite the head off a bat? I want to say he did. Music for Earthworms, I appreciate you, man. Thank you. Or let's see, I think it looks like a guy in there. I appreciate you, buddy, so much. Thank you so much. Yeah, he thought it was fake. That's the way I heard it as well. He thought it was fake. He didn't intend to do it. He took a bite and there it went. Do I remember LA Gear tennis shoes and parachute pants? Of course I do. The bat was dead beforehand. Yeah, it wasn't a live bat. It was a dead bat, and he thought it was fake. He thought it was plastic until, of course, started gushing blood. Pretty disgusting. Let's see. Who does Jason battle in a 2003 horror movie crossover? I've never seen this one. This one I've got to go see. But I didn't realize this was a thing. I mean, I heard the title. I just keep forgetting that it exists and never saw it. But there was a massive 2003 Freddy versus Jason. I don't even know who wins, but I got to check that one out. Now, did Jason have to be asleep for Freddy to fight him? How did the logistics of that work? I definitely want to check that out. But what's crazy is if you would have told me when that movie came out, how many years ago did Freddy fight Jason? I'd have said 10 years. Dude, 2003 was 22 years ago. That's insane. Dude, spoiler alert on a 22-year-old movie. But yeah, Jason he must be asleep. That's the only way that works, right? Which Friday the 13th sends Jason into outer space? I never saw that one. That was Jason X. That was 10. Do you guys know why Friday the 13th is considered unlucky? Really? I've got to see it. I want to have a party with my kids, with my party with my kids and their friends, at least the 21-year-old's old enough. I think it'd be funny to go through all the Friday the 13th movies. But I never knew this. The problem with Friday the 13th is it combines Friday, which by itself is supposed to be an unlucky day. For all of us that work for the weekend, love Friday. I don't know. Okay. And then 13. So together, they're doubly unlucky. Now, I do know that there is a fear of Friday the 13th, and this one is Greek all over the place. Tristan says, got my limited edition shirt a couple days ago. Dude, I hope you like it. I just picked this one up. I haven't had like a baseball style shirt in years, and I saw it in there, and I bought my own shirt. Friday the 13th is National Marriage Day. What's going on, Roger Dodger? Hope you're feeling better, buddy. JG, hello. Yeah, but the fear of Friday the 13th is called paraskividekatriaphobia. Paraskividekatriaphobia. Can you guys say paraskividekatriaphobia? I can, because paraskivi is Friday in Greek and dekatria is 13. And then you add phobia. So it makes it real easy for me. Rob's in the house. What's going on, brother? Good to see you, buddy. Thank you for starting off the super chats. Appreciate you, my friend. How many of us grew up in the 70s, had to walk through a cemetery just to get to school? Never had to walk through a cemetery to get to school. We had to drive by one to get to my soccer field and a bunch of different things. And I remember that anytime we drove by a cemetery, we had to hold our breath. I don't know if that was a thing everywhere. It was just something that we did. Wirehead, thank you, dude. I appreciate you gifting a membership to Who Dat. But yeah, we had to hold our breath. And I remember on the way to my brother's karate class, and I had to go along with, there was a giant cemetery. And it was like literally, I swear to God, it felt like I was going to pass out every time we passed by the cemetery because we had to hold our breath. Everyone's dying to get in there. Now, here's the thing. I saw somebody cite, what event is cited as a historical root of Friday the 13th involving the Knights Templar? And somebody said it, their mass arrest by King Philip IV of France on Friday, October 13th, 1307. Best place to take a date. Never took a date to a cemetery. We would play in the cemeteries, though. We had a cemetery by our house in the neighborhood that I grew up in, and we would play midnight, ghosts in the graveyard, flashlight tag, hide and seek. For whatever reason, we loved doing that in the graveyard. That was like the best place to play those things. What's going on, X-Pun? There was a video game released in 2017 that allows you to play as Jason or as camp counselors. Friday the 13th, the game. I'm going to have to take a look at that. How about the fact that when we grew up, we all heard the and I swear to God, we all thought it was saying kill, 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 ha, 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 kill, 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 ha. We would just do that to each other. If like our friends had to walk home at night, we would sit on the porch and just make that sound to scare them as they had to walk home. That and the Halloween soundtrack are like the two scariest sounds I can think of. World War III kicking off. I don't know, dude. The song We Didn't Start the Fire. It's the end of the world as we know it by REM. Everything that's old is new again. I do not, the vocals do have the words kill, kill, kill in it. I always thought they did. I don't do politics. I will say everything that's old is new again. We've been here before. That's all I'm going to say about it. Red Rum. Red Rum. Alice Cooper and Freddy's Dead movie. The Freddy movies, Nightmare on Elm Street, had some of the best soundtracks. Between the two movies, Friday the 13th, I liked because it was OG. It was like it was an 80s version of a morality tale, right? As soon as somebody has sex or ignores the children they're supposed to be watching or smokes pot or gets drunk, any of goes skinny dipping, that's it. Seconds thereafter, they're dead. And that was like the whole premise behind it. I saw that FC video on the way regarding Spaceballs 2. I'd love to know who I have to talk to get myself in that. I'd be willing to pay any small part. But yeah, those Friday the 13th movies, if you watch them, the timing between their immoral act and their impending doom is instant. And the Scream series, Rob, points that out. The other person that pointed it out was I had a English professor, in college at the University of Buffalo. I don't remember his name. The man seemed to be at least 120 years old. And I remember we walked into his class one day and he was starting a new unit. And on the board, this 100-year-old looking professor with like a bow tie and a tweed jacket with patches on the elbow was writing on the board the words, "You fuck, you die." And he was talking about Peter Benchley's Jaws and a number of different books we were reading. And he was talking about morality in the modern age and how these books and then subsequent movies were trying to teach us that. And I just thought it was funny, and I've never forgotten it because he looked like the teacher from Boy Meets World, and yet he wrote that on the chalkboard. And that there's our age, that there was a chalkboard in the room. Yeah, John, it goes back before that day. Because again, Friday unlucky and the number 13 being unlucky, but that's just one more event that helped escalate it. Son of a thousand maniacs. Omen, I don't remember Omen so much. We did a three view mirror show the other day, and one of my topics was the Amityville horror, and I've just been starting to watch some old horror movies again, and they hold up. And the thing about Amityville horror that shocked me is I remember being really scared by that movie as a kid. Maybe it's because I grew up in New York and this was in downstate. This was Long Island, and it was an actual house that existed, and these people actually lived there for 28 days. But what's amazing about it isn't just that it was based loosely or accurately or possibly on a true story. Amityville, from beginning to end, the only time you see anyone die in that horror movie is in the first few minutes when they are talking about the guy that originally lived there that killed his family. Directly thereafter, when Margot Kidder and James Brolin and their family move in, nobody dies. It's terrifying. It's frightening. Flies do fucked up things. Priests are sent scurrying because they're told to get out, but nobody dies. And in a horror movie of that era, that was that was kind of cool. Omen scared the bejesus out of me. I hear you, Greg. What is the tagline of the original Friday the 13th movie? I don't think anybody's going to get this. I mean, I certainly wouldn't have. Phantasm. I love Phantasm movies. Red pig eyes in the windows freaking out. They actually, the owners of the home presently or at some point changed the shape of the windows because people were driving out there to take pictures in their backyard against the backdrop of those windows, and they finally got sick of it and just changed it. So the house is kind of unrecognizable right now. I could imagine that attrition. Ghost Story, I'd have to take a look at. Night of the Living Dead, absolutely true. Oh my God, Jonathan, did you look that up? But yeah, you got it. They were warned. They're doomed. And on Friday the 13th, nothing will save them. That was the original tagline. And I mean, it doesn't really. Who warned them? They weren't warned. Those counselors like lambs to the slaughter. Do you guys know how many Friday the 13th movies were made as of 2024? Yeah, I read a Peter Straub and Stephen King collaboration. The one I read was Talisman. Just when you thought it was safe to go back in the water. Jonathan says 11 Friday the 13th movies since 2024. Xpun comes in with 12. CNK takes my guess and says 13. Jeffrey's not wrong. He says all of them. Oh, Elvira. You think it was Halloween. Talisman was awesome. I really liked Talisman. Even the sequel I liked a lot too. I read that as well. The name escapes me right now. A few too many. Definitely a few too many. I remember 976 Evil. There were 12. There were 12 Friday the 13th movies as of 2024. And I'm willing to bet that there's no way they can stop on 12. How the hell have they stopped on 12 to this point? Because you can't not do a Friday the 13th part 13. Children of the Corn, Gen X US Marine. The thing about that is that nailed, the one thing that nailed, I have never yet met a child with an overly biblical name. Yeah, Black House, that was it. That wasn't a terror. That wasn't a nightmare. Stephen King 1408 was fantastic. Cabin in the Woods is so good. You know what? I've not read that one. I'm heading to Greece in July for 3 weeks. I've got a 12-hour flight ahead of me, so I'll definitely going to get a book to read. Maybe that'll be the one I grab. Certainly not looking forward to the flight. Navigating content is going to be interesting too, but we'll see. I'll definitely try to keep up. The time zone difference is going to be difficult. I'm looking at 8 hours in the future, but I will do what I can do. I certainly can't take 3 weeks off, so we have to figure it out. They're making another Friday the 13th this year. They would have to. Yeah, there's no way they can stay at 12. Jason is my spirit animal. I've read it probably 4 or 5 times, and I don't know why, because I'm scared to death of clowns, and I'm pretty sure that's why. Agreed. The movie is nothing like the book. I mean, nothing is. It was no the images in my head. Hey, Marie, good to see you. Made the movie laughable. I might have it behind me. I will say the irony is The Stand is one I've read many, many, many times. And most recently, I read The Stand unabridged version. I was literally maybe halfway through the book when the whole COVID thing started. So, I mean, worst timing on earth to be reading about a super flu that gets out of control. I mean, it fucked me up. No two ways about it. Reading The Stand at the beginning, and I'm not somebody that generally, I'm not here to talk about whether COVID was over exaggerated, under exaggerated. I'm not, if you know me, you know that's not what I'm doing. But I will say the fact that I was reading that book made the first 2 weeks of COVID like deathly. I was so paranoid. Leaving grocery bags outside for like 2 hours and then sanitizing them before bringing them inside. I was a smoker that there's no way I was going to be able to quit smoking. Tried a million times, never got through it. COVID hit. I'm reading The Stand. I'm reading things that, like, if you're a smoker and you get this, you're done. Right, wrong, or otherwise, I put the cigarettes down and I have not touched one since. Over 5.5 years now. I got to buy a paint mask in Stephenville, Texas. Get preached to buy a man at the hardware store. Lots of flying during that time for me. Gotcha. Oh, Jonathan, I appreciate that, dude. Things like that help me keep making it because I got to tell you, even for me, it's an up and down thing. I'll average 3 to 5 posts a day, and if I don't, across all platforms. Hey, Patty. If I don't do that, then I get punished. The algorithm will drop me so fast. And I'll go from hundreds of thousands of views to like 2,000 views on the next post. It's tough. It's hard, but I'm fortunate. And I'm fortunate, Rob, people like you, people who financially come every single time, dude. You don't have to do it. I appreciate it. It helps. I'm thankful for people like you, Wirehead, that are here every time I jump on. You find a way to support the live and to be here. Marie with memberships. Dixie literally hung out with me in Dallas and was a producer for me, taking video for us and hanging out. You guys are amazing. The algorithm isn't fickle. It knows what it's doing, but it is absolutely cruel. How does Gen X feel about Israel? I don't think Gen X feels anything about Israel. I think people that happen to be Gen Xers will have different opinions. En masse, as a monolithic group, I don't think we're that. Not when it comes to things like that. How old were you and your best friend when you met your best friend, and how far were they from your house? A lot. Wayne, thank you so much, buddy. Travin, thank you so much, buddy. I appreciate you guys. I don't know what else I can say. Being random and unpredictable, I created a trading card game based on Halloween. Gen X has the skills to do anything they want. Travin, let me know where I can get that. I'm going to look that up. Answering my first question, though, I was probably elementary school when I met my buddy Brian, who was one of my best friends all through high school. And his house was a good 10 miles from mine. He lived right on the lake. Yeah, Travin, let people know where they can find that. He lived right on the lake. I lived more in town. And even at 9 years old, my parents had no problem me riding my bike 10 miles across like 4-lane highways on the shoulder to get there. Rode my bike a lot. Yeah. Mike, I appreciate that, buddy. Thank you so much. Bike was everything. But wheels. For Gen Xers, wheels were everything. Whether it was wheels on our big wheel, whether it was wheels on our bikes, whether it was wheels on our car. And although a bike or a car that was really cool could make you maybe not more popular, but it was definitely status. If you had a really cool bike, BMX bike, 15 speed, whatever it was, either fast or tough, yeah, that was an asset. If you had a really cool car, that was an asset. But the difference about that then and this now, if you had a beater, if you had a hand-me-down bike, didn't matter. If you had a beater, an old truck, a rusted out Chevy, didn't matter. Like a really cool car could be a status symbol, but a really junky car didn't work against you. If you had wheels that got you from point A to point B, that was cool. At least that's what it was with me growing up. Nobody gave anybody. I can't imagine a single instance where the worst car in the parking lot didn't still have a pretty bitchin' stereo in it, and even if it didn't, it wouldn't have mattered. It just was if you had a car. And depending on when you had it. If you had a car at 16, dude, that was everything. Mike, thank you. I appreciate that. Everybody put in $1 for gas. I'm Gen X and couldn't wait to learn to drive. It represented freedom. Susanna, that is so not just your daughter. So many 15, 16-year-olds. Thank you, Warrior. I appreciate that. That's got to be a thing in your family because your mom likes the way I look too. So it's got to be something that you guys share in common. Thank you so much. And say hey for me. But yeah, it never mattered. Rob, thank you. Type of bike was my dream. There were a couple choppers growing up I would have loved with the big, tall handlebars. Those were super cool. I never had a BMX. My younger brother got the BMX. My older brother had like a 15 speed, and I wanted speed over like BMX. At that point, when I got to like 14 and I could feel that a car was coming in the next few years, it was more important for me to have speed on my side, especially because we were riding our bikes 10 miles. So as cool as a BMX was, I wanted to be able to downshift on the hills and then upshift to get moving. So I had a 15 speed red Huffy. That was the last bike I owned as a kid before I got a car. Dude, love the whole idea of you, Gen X chill, no nonsense vibe. Dude, things don't matter. Things don't matter. The things that matter matter, and the things that don't. The things that I can impact, change, affect, I do. The things that I can't, I don't know. My oldest daughter really marvels at what we do, and she's shocked that it's a generational thing. She thought it was just her parents, but now it's kind of cool. At 21, she'll reference a video of mine, so I know she's watching, and she will say like, "It's all of you. You all just put things in a box." She's like, "It's not healthy." I'm like, "Sweetheart, we're in our 40s to 60. By now, we would know if it's healthy or not." Am I saying it's healthy to ignore a problem? No. Is it healthy to compartmentalize and maybe put something aside that's a problem that's not solvable? Yeah. For me, yeah. I'm not going to dwell on something I can't fix. It serves no purpose other than to drive me insane. So we put things in little boxes, we label them, we put them away neatly, and we'll get to it when we get to it. Dude, Huffy with motorcycle tires, that sounds sick. I had a swing bike in grade 5, broke my wrist. Dude, how many casts did we see growing up? Was there a day when the teacher didn't ask for a volunteer to help Jimmy or Johnny or Joey or Jenny or Chrissy carry her books? Can someone volunteer to help Chrissy take her books? Somebody always was broken when we were growing up. And I've been through my oldest daughter. She graduated high school. Rarely, if ever, do I remember a kid with crutches and a cast in her classroom. It happened, but not that often. There was always at least one or two kids in every single class that had a cast. Gen X, thanks to denial, we're immortal. Well, in our own heads, right? In our own heads. If not immortal, because we will die eventually someday, Some of us, I mean, we've lost Gen Xers. We just lost an MTV VJ. I remember Ananda Lewis, who was like 52, 53 years old. So we're not immortal, but we're pretty iconic. We're pretty legendary in our own minds. For a generation that grew up being told early and often on a regular basis that there was nothing special about us, we've grown up to be pretty special. And not short yellow bus on the way to school special. I mean, like only generation to have really grown up in the distinct era that we grew up in. The bridge between no technology and all technology. The last and the first. That's kind of cool. If kids had cast when our kids were growing up from jumping on trampolines, that's true. Nikki takes special to a whole new meaning. There you are, Val. Good to see you. So many bumps on my head from falling at the ice rink. Helmets, we don't need no stinking helmets. Did I run around the blocks a few times after I saw Rocky? Not just around the block, Jack, up and down stairs like a maniac. That was amazing. That was a moment. Not just the first Rocky movie. Can a Gen Xer to this day hear Eye of the Tiger without their blood starting to pump a little faster? It's just that. You're welcome, JG. Thank you for that. My cousin always got his arm broken while he was going down the mountain at a crazy speed or playing sheet master in a room full of grandma's antiques. Dewey Decimal System was a requirement. Yeah, I remember the Dewey Decimal System. JD, not no technology because we grew into it, right? By the 70s, Atari, Pong came early, Atari came at late 70s. And by 1980, we had a Nintendo. Maybe not everyone, but it was around. Early 80s Game Boys were a thing, handheld football. So it was there. But like I said, there's no way around it. When people say, oh, us too. When boomers, God love them, say us too. When millennials, I love them to death, say us too. They're wrong. It's not them too. We were the last to grow up without technology and the first to grow up with it. We are kind of built for it, Mitchell. There it is. When life hurts, rub some dirt on it. Still have my Game Boy Advanced. Dude, I played Tetris so much. That had to be the free game that came with it because I think I could afford a Game Boy, but not like a lot of games. So I remember going to bed and having nightmares where the bricks were falling and doing Tetris in my sleep. Dude, the Bad News Bears, that's awesome. TRS 80s, we used to call them trash 80s. No hard drive, no floppy drive. No, we had a cassette deck next to it that we would take our programs, whatever they were, and record them onto the cassette tape. My first computer that I worked on was a Trash 80, Tandy Radio Shack 80. Then I graduated to an Apple IIe, and my parents bought me a Tandy computer for home. Thank you, MS. But it didn't do anything. Like before the connectivity of the internet, our computers didn't do a whole lot. A couple games, Oregon Trail, Wolfenstein, if you guys remember that. And a lot of games that were like where you had to choose your own adventure almost. It's the game that you saw featured in Big. The wizard is standing on the bridge and he's got this ahead of him. What do you do? And you just try to make it work. Jonathan remembers Castle Wolfenstein. Ever play the data cassette tape? Yep. Zork. Chat's going too quick. JJ, I see you, buddy. Thank you, Michael Thornton. I appreciate it. Commodore 64. My buddy Brian, I think, had a 64. Basic program with TRS-80. I can still remember basic programming today. Every program would start with a clear the screen program. Xpun, you made the app. You made the app. I don't know what that means. Like we used to have to make our own apps. But yeah, I remember 10 was clear the screen. So that was a CLS command. And then you could do print commands where it would push out onto the screen. And if I said 10 CLS, 20 print quotes, John Kotrides, it would print John Kotrides on the screen once. If I put a semicolon, it would fill the line. If then 30 said go to 20, it would fill the line all the way across. Yeah, I'm sorry I missed part of that. 20 Shades of Green. And when you do that with the whole go to 20 and you could repeat it, that's how we built like spaceships that would move up and off the screen, which is all I really knew how to do on my TRS-80. But I was like in fifth grade. Directory command. Remember a lot of that stuff. Class of 93, long live Gen X, 88 here. How many quarters did I waste on Dragon's Lair? Too many. I was horrible at it. That's awesome, Jonathan. I'm glad you're enjoying it. I was really bad at it. I could never quite get it to move the way I wanted to. That was a tough game. Class of 85 in the house, class of 90. We had such class pride. Yeah, Dragon's Lair was tough. Like even at football we didn't have football. We had soccer games, but we would cheer based on class. 87, that's the year. Come on, juniors, let's cheer. And we would just cheer in classes. God, and now it's like what? I said I was 88. I can see on the horizon my 40th class reunion. Haven't been to any of them. Probably will go to the next one because I think it'll be fun. I've raked through this. I've reconnected with a lot of friends that I went to high school with. What's amazing is I've connected with friends that our memories play tricks on us. And I tell this to my kids today. Things aren't the way you think they are. That person you think hates your guts, maybe they do, maybe they don't. The kid you think has such an easy ride, maybe they do, maybe they don't. You learn so much after the fact when you reconnect that it wasn't quite the way you thought it was. Either that or it was and they're lying. Word perfect in high school. High school for me was still, I don't think we had a word processor in high school. Maybe. I do remember that my keyboarding class was on like Smith Coronas, the Selectrics. That's how I learned to type. Rob's 88 with me. X-Pun coming in at 87. Kevin Youngin coming in class of 1998. Dude, you missed it by a year. I always thought it would be iconic to be class of 1999 because then you got to party like it was 1999. That would have been cool. I'd have failed purposely. Electric typewriter, Selectric 2 typing class, what I had. Programming in Apple II. I remember 2E. I don't remember 2A, John. And I do remember exactly those commands. Yep. 99, 87, 93. We're all there. We're all the late 1900s. Monorail gets the lay claim to being a 1999er. Still had manual typewriters in school. Greg, what's funny is we had the Selectrics, right? But they overfilled the keyboarding class. So there were like two manual typewriters in the class. And we would rotate through. And the teacher wanted to make sure we at least had some time on the manual typewriter because she's like, you don't know. There could be a power outage and you're going to need to know how to use a manual typewriter. You don't know what life brings you. Someday you're going to need this. And, not so much. Dude, Lauren McIntyre, thank you so much. I saw a group of kids riding their bikes in the middle of the street recently using a ramp and jumping over their friends. I stopped and watched them for a while and may have wiped away a few tears. I'm class of 1998, by the way, last of the Gen X. Lauren, sending you love and appreciation. Rob, dude, coming in again. You guys are making this awesome for me. To Lauren's point for a minute, though, thank you so much. And Rob, always thank you. Lauren, generally speaking, I just want to take a minute too. It doesn't mean you have to do anything, but there you go. The people that support the channel, I like to give them ability to be able to do a little more. So enjoy your moderator powers. You see someone being a douchebag, have at them. But I got a video that I've got to make. Friends of mine sent me video of her son. So her son has one of those very low electronic go-karts, for lack of a better term. And he rides it in the cul-de-sac. He rides it on the street because it's not like you can't ride it on the grass. It won't work. It's a street vehicle sort of thing. And so he's riding it around the cul-de-sac. And she's like, what if you're the douchebag, Travin? Well, then, you've earned the right. What can I tell you? Here's what I hate. I'm making a video and I'm trying to thread the needle on this because I want it to be informative and entertaining and funny, but at the same time, it's a little bit of a rant because we always get slammed for being the people, the generation that says the way we grew up was awesome. We rode in the street without helmets on. We got hit by cars. We rode in the back of pickup trucks. We did all of this stuff. Thank you, Ryder. But we're also, and not us, but generationally, we're also the group of parents. There was a group that took to their group Facebook page and anonymously started bitching about the kid. He shouldn't be out there. He could get hurt. We can't see him. Someone needs to tell him to be careful. He shouldn't be right. Listen, we can't say that we need to raise our kids more like the way we grew up and at the same time not let them do things like that. If you see the kid being stupid, call him out on it. Say, hey, dude, idiot. When you see a car coming, pull over. But to put it out on Facebook, I'm calling him out. I'm gonna do the video showing the kid going around in his neighborhood, being as Gen X as it gets. The kid, I think, except he's wearing a helmet. Good for him. No need to collect concussions like Pokemon cards. But I'm also going to scroll all the comments of these these keyboard warriors. 80% of them hiding behind an anonymous title. They don't even put their name out. How are you? My question would be, how many kids do you got? I have two daughters. I hope I have a son to carry on my cool DNA into the future. I have nephews, thankfully. I have two daughters, and I'm a girl dad 1,000%. I love being a girl dad. I love having daughters. And you know what? This is a term you don't hear anymore. I raised them both like tomboys. Both my girls can be the prettiest girly girls on the face of the planet, but at the same time, they have no problem throwing a football, getting dirty, jumping around. They are tough chicks. They're tough girls, and they're whatever it takes in the moment. And I think that's what Gen X taught girls to be. Tomboy was an expression girls all wore at one time or another. Most of them. You were either a tomboy or a girly girl. And all the girls that I ran with were tomboys, man. Especially in like elementary school. The poncho wearing patties were the first ones to kick your ass. Because the girls grew first, then the boys followed. In the 5th grade, the girls outweighed the boys, outstrengthed the boys, were bigger than the boys. And the ones that would hit the playground wearing their grandmother's crocheted ponchos, a pair of ponchos or gauchos, they would kick your ass every time. Taught my sons to settle their disagreements between each other with jiu-jitsu. Nice. Take it easy, Kevin. Heading home from D.C. Game and concert canceled. Sorry to hear that. We tomboys knew where the fun was. Concussions suck. Agreed. But yeah, the first beatings I got in grade school, relatively sure they were at the hands of girls. Because again, girls were bigger than boys. 1979, 1999 New Year's Eve was way too much pressure. I had to drive on ice. Wow, it's going fast here. Who remembers skitching? Upstate New York, we did it all the time. For people that don't know what that is, we would hold on to a bumper in the snow and just ride. Kind of like Michael J. Fox with his hoverboard, but ours was in the snow and it was holding the back of a bumper. Maggie May, welcome to the Honorary Xers. Thank you for signing up as a member. Appreciate you. Won't let us use the term tomboy anymore. Well, no one's stopping me from using it. Woke, not woke, sleepy, nappy, tired. I don't care. I see nothing wrong with it. But what are they? Meh. That's the cool thing about being a Gen X era content creator. I'm not saying we're perfect this generation, but it would take a lot for me to make the majority of my followers angry. Every now and then, I do something unintentionally. Took a picture with Dean Cain a little while back, and I guess he supports President Trump. Okay, I'm about as unpolitical as it gets. But I grew up watching Dean Cain as Superman with Terry Hatcher, who was like my super crush. So I took a picture with the dude. Well, apparently that got me in trouble. I posted a picture of John Cusack because I hope to meet him in Pittsburgh when I go there for Steel City Con. Because, dude, that's lame. That's Say Anything. That's the older brother on Stand By Me. That's amazing. And I got in trouble from the other side for that. They're like, oh, my God, he's a liberal. You should see what he puts on Twitter. I don't care. I don't know how else I can say that. Friend wanted to use my USB to charge his cigarette, but I was using it to charge my book. The future is stupid. I love that, Travin. Love that. People don't get, John Schneider is going to be somewhere I'm going. Dude, that's Bo Duke. That's Bo Duke. To me, that's Bo Duke. The Duke boys, are you fucking kidding me? That's amazing for me. I grew up jumping into the window of my car, looking like an idiot because of that show. I'm not going to meet John Schneider. I could care less what his political ideology is. I'm going because inside of me, there's an 8 or 9 year old boy that will like smile from ear to ear eternal. I'm trying at 55 years old to make the 12-year-old, the 9-year-old, that I'm making that kid happy. That kid deserves it. We grew up in some tough times, and I had a great childhood. I had amazing parents. Yeah, I swear sometimes. Only when I'm talking with friends, like unplanned lives like this. I try not to swear on the Sunday Night Wonderful World of Gen X or on our podcast. Those are planned shows. When it's just me talking with friends, then I curse sometimes. But I had a great childhood. I had amazing parents. But we grew up in times when our parents were busy. Mine did not mean they did not intentionally leave us to our devices. It's just the way things were done. We couldn't have everything. We had things that were close enough, near misses, what we needed. So that's what I do. Thank you, Marie. Exactly. And I just want everybody to know. And when you see a comment, help me shut it down. Love you right back, Aaron. But that's what I want for everybody. I want to live in a world where we can just be like, that's cool. You do you. I'm a sailor, no apologies. I mean, sometimes I really, really make the kid inside of me happy. Most recently, there's this. A lot of you have seen it already. Colonel Steve Austin, barely alive. We can make him stronger, faster, better than before. This was a toy I was desperate to own as a kid. Never able to get it. And then even better, I've also got the Jamie Summers Bionic Woman up there. Now that's no way as a kid, as a boy kid, would I have been able to own the Bionic Woman. No way in hell. No way in hell. I would have been called gay so fast. Back when gay was considered something we called each other, not actually a preference or a biological predisposition. It was just something we said. But now, hell yeah, I want Jamie Summers, and I got her. That's awesome. She's up there. Come on, Steve, don't fall. And then, of course, hold on. The Mac Daddy of them all. This. If this didn't make the 7-year-old living inside of me, there it is. Joseph nailed it. This made me happy. This continues to make me happy. This is a beast. This is amazing. It's incredible. It is something I wanted so badly as a kid and never even came close to it. And I love it. And I've slept with it. I just put it on the pillow next to me. And then I wake up at night, I stroke it lovingly, and I go back to sleep. My wife doesn't much care for that. But it's okay. Somebody said Evel Knievel, that's next. Evel Knievel stunt cycle is definitely on the horizon. Without a doubt. Kimberly says, oh my God. G.I. Joe aircraft carrier, too big, dude. Too big. As much as I would like, I stroke my Falcon every chance I get and twice on Sunday. Sliding across my hood blew out my knee. You had the stunt cycle. Never had it. Yeah, I mean, those were just words we used. Nothing was meant by it. Well, something was meant by it. Yeah, and sometimes, but it wasn't just that. We roasted each other like nobody's business. We turned, I stroke it lovingly. We turned mama jokes, slurring. The one line in Stand By Me is, that we found new and innovative ways to insult each other's mothers, and that was appreciated. That was like the highest order of affection. It's just what we did. Yeah, gay meant lame. Oh, that's so gay. That's so weird. That's so lame. Rob, thank you. In homage to the Falcon. What's funny is directly after buying it, I got myself in a little bit of trouble with that one. But your mama's so fat or your mama's so dumb. We had a Facebook session, and it was funny because somebody said that, I bought the Falcon for all of us, and people just started donating. I thought that was funny. We grew up on sarcasm. The kids don't get sarcasm today. They think that irony is sarcasm. They think that if they're being ironic, that is synonymous for sarcastic. And I'm like, no, being sarcastic isn't being ironic. Being sarcastic, why you be looking so ticklish? Not sure. Um, I remember asking my mom if she would buy me a Wonder Woman action figure to complete my Mego toy collection. Next thing I know, I'm being asked by a vice principal if I felt like wearing a dress. John, I love that. And also, I had the Wonder Woman Mego and I had the Batgirl Mego. So, and no principal asked me if I felt like wearing a dress, but I needed them. I needed to complete the set. Um, the hell was I talking about? Oh, the sarcasm thing. I finally told somebody, I go, sarcasm means insulting someone so savagely that they don't realize you did them dirty until they're halfway till they're halfway home. And then they finally realize that it then clicks. That is sarcastic. Thank you, Nikki. I go, sarcasm means getting away with saying the last thing anybody should ever let come out of their mouths, but saying it first and not paying any punishment for it. It is definitely a fine art. Bless your heart. The South does it well. I'm so glad to be raised Gen X. Dude, I say it all the time. If I could think of a cool way to put it on a t-shirt, I would. I would rather be old and have been young in the time that we were young than to be young today and never have lived through that era. There's no way I would trade. If you could say to me, you know what? You could be born instead in 2010 and be 15 today and relive youth. No, because everyone gets old. Youthfulness is fleeting, and we don't realize how fleeting until it's already behind us. It doesn't last. But nobody but us gets to say they grew up in the 80s. What's going on, Funky Bottoms? Tammy, hello. Thank God we're not recorded in public. I just did a video that I found, reconfigured it a little bit, made it work. And it's a 1987 senior skip day. And I used it for a couple different videos, but just over on Facebook, because I think I'll try to put it on YouTube. YouTube gives me problems with long videos, copyright strikes for any amount of music. But on Facebook, I've got the video. And it's 4.5 minutes, almost 5 minutes long. Just these kids on a camcorder recording their 1987 senior skip day. And it's amazing. I did a little clip of it, GD, here on YouTube. I can get away with it as a short. Can't get away with the full thing. YouTube they don't have the agreements necessary. Even if the music's in the background, I'll get a copyright strike. So things like that, unfortunately, usually I can only push over on Facebook, TikTok, or Instagram. Polaroids and mixtapes. Growing up Gen X, we got to grow up with both worlds. That's what I'm saying. We were the first and we were the last. We were the last to grow up in one world and the first to grow up in the other. That's amazing. The only time, the same generation that can lay claim to that, I guess, is like being born into the era of vehicles. That was a huge shift. Millennials can play the game a little bit with the internet, but they still weren't the last to grow up without it. That's still us. And we're maybe if they want to say, they grew up with fast internet. We grew up with the joke that was the 24K modem, 56K modem, watching pictures come down one simple line at a time. It's incredible. I love you, Bo. Everyone gets older, but John's sexy forever. I'll take the compliment. Don't necessarily agree. 110 baud rate. I remember. Dude, and I was so excited when the internet came. I remember at University of Buffalo, UB, we had what was referred to as a VAX account or a Vox account. I can't remember. And I think it was a VAX system. Maybe it was a Vox, VOX. At any rate, it allowed us to basically email other people at UB. That was it. It would only be people that were at the university. You couldn't email anybody outside of the university. But just that in and of itself was so cool. The first time I got an AOL disc in the mail, VAX account. Thank you. It was, and somebody else says Vox now. I know I missed it, Val. My brother was cooking there. My older brother still lives in Buffalo. If you enjoyed any food at the Buffalo Greek Festival, you have my older brother to thank. He was on kitchen duty most of the weekend. But yeah, first time I got an AOL disc in the mail. So cool. It's just a whole new world. It was amazing. I don't hate technology. I think it's abused. I think it's intrusive. I think there's too much. use of it that it's like I don't hate light. I think light is an important invention. I think the fact that we can light up our streets at night is a good thing. But that doesn't mean I don't appreciate it when we go camping and I look up and I realize, holy shit, there's a lot of stars up there in the sky that we never see. That's how I see technology. It serves a purpose, but sometimes you need to go camping. Sometimes you need to turn the lights off so you can see the stars. And I think that's what our kids are missing. They can't turn the lights off to see the stars because they're afraid of the dark. They can't turn their AirPods off and just go walking in silence because they're afraid of the sound of their own thoughts in their head. The technology has impacted them in a really negative way. For legal reasons, I'm also glad they don't exist. As Gen X, I've been told I'm condescending. That means I talked. Touche. Well done, Travin. Kids have forgotten to live in the moment. We need to be careful too. I was at my daughter's concert and I started recording it. Video. I keep saying videotaping it. Started recording it, and then I put my phone down because I'm like, I'm never gonna look at this. I've got this like her fourth concert of the year. She doesn't have a solo this time. I've already got three equally fundamentally the same, taking up storage on my cloud that I'm not going to look at. I put the phone down. I thought millennials invented the walk. No, it's in fact the Zoomers. Jono, I wrote a rock song about Gen X if you want a copy. Absolutely. Would love to see it. Email me at genxjono80@gmail.com. It's in my link tree. Let me know where there's a link. I'd be happy to take a look at it, listen to it. What is the walk? This is actually, I made fun of it, but the more I looked into it, the more I find it sad. Kids are working their way up to silent walking, 20 minutes a day. But they have to work their way up to it. So a silent walk means no AirPods, no music, no podcast, just walking with their own thoughts. But the ones you'll see online, they'll talk about it. It's triggering. It's hell for them. The one person said the first time I did it for 5 minutes, I didn't think I'd get through it. And they slowly add minutes every day, trying to work up to 20 minutes because they simply can't have that silence in their head. Did I ever find a Sony Vaio power adapter? No, Wirehead, just because I forget about it the minute I don't talk about it. The Sony Vaio is still sitting in my garage. It's sad, but it's triggering for them. And I use that word as a joke against them sometimes, but it doesn't change the fact that it's true. You know, we're like, oh, these kids, they're doomed. But they are the world that they lived in made them. Life is going to smack them hard. If we didn't do our job teaching them, and I pray to God I did. I think I did. I think my girls are not that. And I don't even think most Zoomers are that. I think that's the exception that's just very loud. But even for those kids, Gen Z college courses right now, they're saying that most Zoomers for a 4-year degree will automatically transition to a 5-year, even though it was kind of the norm now more than ever because they're taking courses in college to teach them how to do standard banking, how to wash laundry, how to do normal tasks. There are actual college classes being offered because I don't know where these kids grew up. My daughters can do laundry. They don't often. My oldest is getting better about it, but they know how. I don't know. Life will teach them. Even the softest of parents, the most gentle of parents, will be gone at some point. So even the softest of kids, Elvis, are going to be taught by life because life doesn't play fair. Life doesn't care. Life doesn't care if you prefer to be raised gentle or not. Life doesn't care if you think something is fair or not. They'll learn. Mitchell says I have to unplug from the world, otherwise I'd go stark raving mad. I unplug on the part of the reason I continue to bartend is when I'm working a couple days a week. I don't look at my phone when I'm working because I'm working. Going to Greece, I'm going to have to unplug a little bit for 3 weeks because it just won't work. But at the same time, I got to make sure I find a way to continue to push out content. I'm hoping you guys will like content about my European vacation. Maybe even that's how I'll structure it, because I've been called uh, what the hell is his name? I'm drawing a blank. I've been called Sparky more than a couple times, and maybe we'll run it as a European vacation type short series. I'm a doctor. We're going to have a bunch of idiots taking care of us when we are old. Dude, I couldn't Clark Griswold. There it is. I couldn't disagree more. I don't think we're going to have idiots taking care of us. I don't think we're going to have anyone taking care of us. We didn't have it. Our life is a bookend. No one was watching us as children, and I'm relatively sure no one's going to be watching us as old people either. Every one of my hats looks like yours. My kids won't let me near their flat bills. I just got sent a hat from my merch store, WKRP in Cincinnati, which is cool, but it's a trucker hat, and by definition, I can't really bend the brim, so I don't wear it a lot because I don't know what to do with that. But it's a cool trucker's hat. Come on, Batman, put on your hat. There we go. I look at my phone at work to change the music. I joke with people about nobody taking care of me. Do you really want those kids now watching over you? No, thanks, I got this. I know some people make content in advance and just upload it on vacation. So, absolutely. I know tons of people that do that. Most content creators that I know have, when I say thousands, I mean thousands of drafts. Ideas that they've worked on that are just sitting off to the side, either completed and not pushed out, or incomplete but just close. I don't have a single draft. I don't know if it's an ADHD thing. I don't know if it's an OCD thing. I don't know if it's a Gen X Jono thing. But the minute I'm finished, it doesn't matter. I push it out. I can't hold anything back. I don't know where my Cubs hat is. I've got this one, but my favorite blue one is missing. Olga, have you seen my blue Cubs hat? I don't know where my blue one is. I'm missing it. Well, it's interesting. Walkman, CD, iPad, iPod stream, YouTube, and live stream. A lot, I would guess. Skynet, Cyberdyne. Good night, Rob. Love you too, brother. Go watch a scary movie. Gotta do vids raw, keeps it real. I don't like saving. I don't know. It just doesn't feel right. If I hold it back, then by the time I go to push it out, I want to change it anyway. I guess it'll do. I like this one too. I love my blue one. I like your approach to content. It's like a variety show, Carol Burnett show, Donnie and Marie. It's SNL. It's a little. There's so many different things. Everybody that I know that I work with has a shtick. Sherry does her thing. Gina does her thing, which is almost all reactions. Dad Bod does his thing. They all have the thing they do. I don't know that I do any one thing. I could just I don't. I'm all over the board. Do whatever you do, Jono. We'll watch. Appreciate you, Pit Snipe. That'll do, Pig. That'll do. Thank you, Aaron. Take care, Roger Dodger. I'm about out of here as well. Goonie Goo Goo, one of my favorite skits. It's 10 o'clock. Appreciate you, Kimberly. I just have fun. This is a job. This is what I do for a living right now. I love it. Do I have a P.O. box to send stuff? No, because here's the thing. I was in banking for so long with so many licenses, and then I did photography on the side based out of my home that it's just too easy to find my address anyway. So if you email me and there's something in particular that you think I would want or need, or you need my address for whatever reason, my email's in my link tree, genxjono80@gmail.com. Just go ahead and email me. I'll throw you my address. It's just, I grew up in a time when if somebody wanted my address, they just pulled out a phone book. People are like, oh my God, you gave them your address? Yeah. It wasn't that difficult. And it's not difficult. I don't worry about it. But yeah, when I tell my daughter that we grew up, if you knew someone's name, you got their phone number, you got their address, you got it all. It's right. That's where they live. And if you wanted to hide that, they charged you money to have an unlisted number. So I don't worry about it. A phone what? The white pages. Used to have our birthdays listed. That I don't know. What's going on, Unique? But it's, I mean, you wanted someone's address, look it up. It wasn't considered a privacy risk. Now, I do remember girls that lived alone started doing this thing where they would put only their first initial and the last name so that people wouldn't necessarily know their gender. But then it became so obvious that anytime you saw just an initial, pretty much a given that they were going to be a girl anyway. So stop working. Kids' names and birthdays for some small towns. It was crazy. Now that you mention it, yes, I do kind of remember that. Appreciate you. I'm glad you had fun, but it hasn't been real fun. I'm glad you caught it, Aaron. Listen, we do this every Sunday night, 8 p.m.-ish Eastern time, 8:30. Usually I try to help the West Coast by going on a little later. But every Sunday night, we do the Wonderful World of Gen X. Every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. Eastern time, I do a trivia live, it actually in person, and then I'll live stream the live trivia contest. So a couple times a week, I'm always here. Lived in New York City. The white page is about 3,000 pages, I think. When I lived in Bronxville, it was segregated, right? You got like the major listings, the big book of I don't know what the hell it was. But then I was in Yonkers and Bronxville, and we had they almost came out by neighborhood. Tony, I love that. It's the best thing I've heard all day. 80s rocked, Rebecca. You're welcome, Val. Thank you for coming. That's how the Terminator found Sarah Connor. That's a video. Thank you. Comic books longer than my childhood phone book. My early childhood phone book, my town was so small, we didn't even need to dial the exchange. My home phone number as a little kid was 315-594-9300, right? 3 for the area code, 3 for the exchange, 4 for the number. We only had to dial the 4 and then 9300. So that I don't know how that worked, but it did. We all would have hung out, Tony. That's the amazing thing. Yeah, for us it was 5-digit calling. Same idea, Pit Snipe. That's the amazing thing. Would we have all run in the same circle? No. We had our cliques. No doubt about it. We had cliques and we ran in our circle and we pretty much stayed where we belonged. But I was a crossover. I hung out with the really smart, geeky kids, and I hung out with the cooler, more popular kids at the same time. But we all would have hung out in some form or another. We all would have been in the party. All right, guys. Sending you guys love. What's today? Today's Friday. I will see you Sunday, 8 p.m. Eastern time, if you guys want to come back. And we'll do it all over again for the Sunday night Wonderful World of Generation X, both here and on Facebook. Thank you guys so much. $158.99 raised, which that's how I get to where I go. That's what got me to Dallas. That's what's getting me to Pittsburgh. Father's Day Sunday, I still think I'll be on. It's only an hour, and I'll spend all day with my kids, so it works. If I'm a little late, that's why. But you guys, I appreciate you so much. You make it all work. I won't blow it all at the arcade, I promise. See you guys on Sunday. 99 cents. That used to be a gallon of gas. Peace, guys. Love you. Thank you, Travin. Thank you, everybody. Later.